My board members yesterday.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to the special call meeting of the Danville Architectural Heritage Board, Friday, January 26th. I have 9:32, so time to get started. Call to order. Actually, before I approve the minutes, and I will verbalize this wrong, but I'd like to recognize our board member, Julie Wagner, on a recent. You're going to have to tell us what it is because I can't remember all. And that means you get, actually your pay gets doubled
Yeah.
for this.
I had my board members in the car yesterday, captive for like 6 hours, so I did talk about that. No, Main Street is changing how they do everything, and now we have to adopt what's called transformation strategies that are community-based projects, and so I was the first person to get the national accreditation, so.
Congratulations. City of First,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There we go.
Got
We add
the trip
one
to
more thing to
Chicago
the
out of
plaque
it.
out front.
Yeah.
On the-
Tom, I have to say, it's my fault we do not have minutes. I did not do them. So I'll get them for the next meeting.
We'll have to postpone those to the next
Yeah.
meeting. Okay. I thought I just was missing my
No,
copy from the other day.
No, you
Okay.
can
All
blame
right.
me. It's all that studying I've been doing.
Then we'll jump right into the thick of things. First thing is a certificate of appropriateness, 111 North 4th Street. That's the Community Arts Center, and Ms. Kincaid, if you will step to the podium, and
I think we're going to have Kate be our spokesperson.
or if you will bring your crew to the podium. And Kate, if you will state who you are and introduce your other folks.
Sure. So representing the Art Center, I'm Kate Snyder. I'm the Director of Marketing and Development. We also have Brandon Long, the Creative Director, and Nikki Kincaid, Executive Director. What happens next? Am I talking first or are you? Sorry.
Tell us what you want to do.
So our proposal is to install a mural on the side of the Sherwin-Williams building that backs up to our parking lot at the Community Arts Center. The design that we put together was something that is growing kind of out of a grassroots movement within the arts community. It's this idea of art local as sort of a tagline that accompanies some of the other ideas that are out there around. There's buy local, there's shop local, there's this kind of local movement, and we felt like the art local concept was something that we wanted to tap into as sort of a cultural value statement, right? That this piece of art that would go on the wall is something that reflects Danville's value of the arts. The fact that Danville as a city is leaning into its arts identity in terms of its tourism, in terms of the way that it's approaching. I mean, just the fact that we have these design guidelines is an example of all the ways that Danville has really been working to embrace its identity as an arts destination. We already have all the pieces, right, between Pioneer Playhouse and all of the other things, the Arts Commission and the Arts Center and the Norton Center and West T Hill. All of this is part of Danville's identity. It's why we've been designated as one of only 7 creative districts by the state of Kentucky for the whole state. Danville's one of them. And so this was just our attempt to kind of put some of that into visual representation, to put it on the wall and say that this is part of who Danville is this vibrant arts community. So that was kind of the rationale behind the design of the mural that we're looking at doing. The space was an ideal choice because it aligned with some of the guidelines that the AHB has in place. It's a wall that had already been painted. It was a wall whose business owner was very supportive. It was a wall that was easily visible from the street and easily accessible to the artist. So kind of all of those things aligned to make it a good choice. We do have our permissions in from John Bowling. We have a maintenance plan in place, so just let me know if you guys have questions about the project.
Okay. We'll start out with discussion. Questions?
I just want to ask a question. You had mentioned the shop local, art local, buy local. Is that some kind of program that you're going to be doing other murals with those language on them?
We don't have any intention to do that. Our focus is really on art.
Okay.
It was just more of just giving you some context and kind of the concept of hashtag
Okay.
art local.
And pardon us, we tread lightly. This is the first one of these, so we really
No,
want to make sure we get
absolutely.
it right.
We're excited to be the first official test case.
Yeah. Well, it's great. Thank you for
Yes.
paving the way of public
Absolutely.
art. I love the idea of a mural. I'm not crazy about this design, just frankly, just to share that with you. Seems to me more representative of a sticker or a logo. But I love the idea of a mural, so I'm a little torn, because I want a mural. I think we all want a mural.
If I can jump in, will this logo, and I hesitate to call it a logo, will this design be used as other logos?
Yeah.
Or will it be used in other places?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Can you give some examples of that?
Like it was on the poster that we made for the holiday market, for example. It's
Okay.
had that kind of art local idea, and it is something that other entities throughout town. We've had conversations with the Arts Commission about them starting to. They're also wanting to use that. Some of the other arts entities to kind of pick it up as a thing that we use to kind of tag local art projects.
Do you have, I don't see a maintenance, is there a maintenance plan?
There is.
in
There was
here?
an original one that was submitted, and then we submitted a revised
Okay,
version.
where is that?
And the revised part, the original part was just kind of at the end, the last paragraph. The revised maintenance plan at the suggestion of Joni House, she suggested that we actually put a time, rather, basically what we initially said was, it should last a long time because it's exterior
Right.
paint. And she said,
Right.
let's maybe be a little more specific. And so we put in place that we anticipate that it will last for 5 years. Because we are using high quality exterior paint, it should be vibrant for that long at least. This is kind of, honestly, this is new to us as well, because typically we've done the really temporary murals on the windows that only lasted for a few months and then we would take them down. But we're anticipating a 5-year lifespan. We're going to be reviewing the installation quarterly or every time we park our cars, and officially reviewing it quarterly, and doing sort of touch-ups as needed. And then at the conclusion of the mural's lifespan, at that 5-year point, if it seems like everyone's in agreement that it's kind of run its course, the wall can easily be repainted since it is already painted.
It's in your packet. It's part of an email. If you haven't
I
found-
see that,
if
and
you
I
haven't
just found it,
yet.
yeah.
I think that we should recognize the fact that the design does have a historical connotation in the typography, and also that it has kind of a stressed look, which I think is what makes it nice.
Right.
I would like to see it not come quite so close to the ground in case when there are parked cars there, it's going to be, part of it's going to be obscured. But
You're kind of one of our graphics folks. Do you
Yeah.
have any concern of that being a sign versus art?
not at all.
Okay,
Great, great.
okay,
Not- no.
great.
Do you have paint samples, color samples?
We don't yet. Our understanding was that wasn't
Okay.
something that this committee was considering, so we don't have paint samples. I mean, it'll be, the idea is
think we
that the
will
red,
for art.
it will be the like red something.
Yeah.
But we don't have a
Okay.
specific
Okay.
shade picked out.
Do we, Joni, back to Joni, and do we need something formal from John Bowling as far as a maintenance should?
We would request that, and we can do that however you want to, but that the property owner sign the maintenance plan, that he understands that if the Community Arts Center does not address it, codes goes after property owners. So if we got to that point in the future, which I don't anticipate, but if we did, we want something in writing that he understands he's accountable if you
Okay.
do not take care of it. And that in the future, as we go through these, that will be a format to
That'll
the
be part
form.
of the
That'll be part of
application.
this process, but since this is the first one,
Sure, that's no problem.
Can you clarify, in terms of art, are the standards we are not involved in color? How could that be?
If you look at your standards, it really doesn't prescribe colors.
Okay.
There is a part in there that talks about art versus signage.
Right.
Art's very subjective. So it doesn't really address colors or design. That's your all's purview to look at
Okay.
without, I'm afraid there's not really good guidance for that.
Okay.
The other thing I would
just want to get all this
say.
in the public record.
No, that makes
Right.
sense. Yeah, we
And
were
there-
just basing it
yeah.
on the section of the
Right.
guidelines
Sure.
that said that the AHB does not review the painting of buildings that are already painted, and paint colors are at the discretion of property
Okay,
owners.
this is a little different, though, than painting a building, so I
Right.
think it's good if we get this in the
Unfortunately,
record.
no, there's no real clarification on there
Okay.
about what the design has to be.
But
Okay.
I
That's
think
kind of up
it's-
to you guys.
Okay,
I think clearly, when color is presented in this context, it is something that we would take into consideration due to appropriateness.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at a letter here signed by John Bowling that said, "I have discussed the maintenance plan for the artwork with the Art Center staff, and I'm satisfied that the mural will be adequately maintained."
Can you just put the maintenance plan in a form letter and have two signatures,
Yeah,
Nikki's and John's? That's
it
really
does
all
say
we
he
need.
understands that they will
Yep.
maintain it,
Yeah,
but what I
okay.
want, what I'm asking for is that he understands if they do not maintain it, he's accountable for maintenance.
Okay, that's a simple.
Sure, and we can, I mean, if you have language you want to make sure that we
Yeah,
include in that.
I'll
and you
make
wanna
up a
feed that to
form
us,
and send to you,
wonderful.
and so that he can sign off on it, but I wanted that as part of the record.
Absolutely.
Right, and if you guys look in your staff report, under staff recommendations, there is the language, I think that
Okay.
everybody looked at and thought really is very wordy, says basically what it did, but more official, so. And that would be under the staff report prepared for you guys.
Well, this is exciting.
Thank you.
It is. Personally, I'm glad to see this, and it's been a long time coming. Any other questions?
I move that we accept this proposal.
Could we,
I was going to ask, what kind of motion? what
well,
kind of wording?
first, we need you to determine officially, is it a sign or is it art?
That it's what?
You need to actually, on the record, say whether it's a sign or art.
And that-
you need
should
to make
be
that
in the form of
Should
a
we vote
motion?
on that?
And vote?
However you want to do it, if you want to put it as part of the other motion, but I think probably a separate motion would be more appropriate.
Okay, I'll make a motion that this mural represents the value statement of art. Therefore, I would consider it not a sign.
We have a motion?
I second. Nope.
Got 2 seconds. This leaves me to vote on it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None?
Okay?
So
Now-
it is hereby acclaimed art.
There, now Dana can make her motion.
I move that we accept the proposal for the mural to be on the side of this Sherwin-Williams building as designed. And
And the finding of fact, we were all,
it's not a historic building.
okay.
Honestly, I don't know if it's contributing or not. I haven't been able to look at those
Okay.
building surveys, but it's in the district, so these guidelines would apply to it.
I
Okay.
think because it's a painted building.
Yeah, it's
Painting
painted.
over that, there's no windows being painted on, there's no architectural features being impacted, so I would think it would be appropriate.
Okay, okay.
It doesn't go against any of the guidelines.
Right.
Then we'll take that as the finding of fact. So your, the motion, please? Can I hear a motion?
Yeah.
Have a motion?
Her motion was to accept the proposal for Sherwin-Williams as designed.
And could you add to that motion about the maintenance plan, the signing
Okay.
of it?
Contingent upon.
A jointly signed maintenance plan be submitted to codes? Does that sound good? Okay. Is that okay, Dana?
Sorry, Dana.
We have a motion amended. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second? Any further discussion? Mimi, would
I
you?
think mine would come after you finish what you're saying.
Okay.
Maybe not, I don't know. My question is, once a mural goes up...
The board recognizes Miss Mimi Becker, if you'd like to.
No, I'm loud enough, former teacher.
Okay,
You need to be up there because we're recording it.
Oh, I have to be...
yes. State your name and your title,
Okay.
please.
Mimi Becker, Executive Director of the Arts Commission, Danville Bullock County. For future projects, because we're very interested, obviously, who owns the design of a piece of art that becomes a piece of public art when it goes up?
I don't understand that question.
Well, like the design itself of
Right.
who owns this once
Right.
it would be retained by the artist.
Run that by me again, I didn't hear.
So, right, an artist who creates work that goes into the public domain still retains the rights to that art. Back me up, Brandon? Yes.
So the concept of art local can and cannot be, or can or cannot be used by another entity.
Oh, that's a question for Steve.
That's an attorney question.
Yeah.
That's a what?
If it is owned by the artist, I would tend to think it cannot be used, but that would be a question for council.
When the artist releases the art in the public domain, or however it's released for publication, then that's an agreement, and it should be stated what rights the artist is releasing.
Okay.
So
Because,
not just anyone could reproduce this image
Okay.
for their own purpose.
Is it similar to when you pull a photo off the web and somebody has the rights to that? If you use it, you could pay, you have to pay for that? I guess this would be the same concept, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
well,
Okay.
the reason I bring it up is because when Nikki talked to myself and the chairman of the board, of the Arts Commission, several months ago, the Art Local Design was going to be available for a variety of entities to use. So now, is that going to be still the case?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it would
Okay.
still, yeah, certainly, the idea is that the artistic design rights reside with the Art Center, but the plan is for everyone to use it. And so
Okay.
the words Art Local are not owned by the Art Center. That specific design is, and we hope that lots of people use it.
Okay.
But that doesn't apply to
But that
us,
doesn't
does
really
it?
apply.
No,
Okay.
that's totally outside of us.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Thank you, Mimi. I'll entertain a vote. All in favor? Aye. And no opposed? Congratulations.
Yay.
Another
Thank you
first.
very much. We appreciate it.
Yes. Have a
We'll be
great
back.
day now.
Good, good.
And we thank you. We know this has been quite a process for a long time for you all, so thank you for.
You just can't
made it
believe how many
patience.
years. Right, Mimi? It's been a lot of years.
Yeah.
A lot of years. All right. Next on the agenda, number 4. From staff, probably Joni, certified local government grants.
All right. I gave you guys earlier two of the things that we're looking for the grant. Certainly, one of them is going to be the Phase 2 on the surveyor grant that was previously done. I've got the breakdown for you of what the Kentucky Heritage Council staff recommends. This is what they recommended to Covington. I'm guessing Covington's basically doing the same thing that we're doing. So you can see that. And this one's pretty boilerplate. You guys already know about it pretty well. It's just the Phase 2 to actually get the surveyor working, get the tablets. I've talked a little bit to Center maybe about getting some bodies to help us to do some matching with that. So I guess we need a blessing from you guys, and then we can proceed with that grant. The second grant, one of the things that I saw in your all's goals for this coming year was to really try to help give the public some usable tools. And I think probably as I've gotten familiar with the district and the folks in the district, which I still am doing, mind you, but I hear a lot, how's this all work? How does this go together? Where do these rules come from? I think maybe a series of workshops, with the first one being kind of Historic Preservation 101, just to let people know what all this big thing is about, how certified local government works, with Secretary standards, because you get this glazed over look from the public going, how does that affect me? And that would help them. That would be a pretty economical one to do, about $500, I think. The second workshop I would propose with this grant would be the window workshop. You know, that's always the big scary dragon in the cave, is the windows in historic properties. I've talked with Patrick Kennedy from the Heritage Council. He's probably one of the best in the state. I've talked to Pine Mountain School. They recommend Patrick. I've known Patrick for a long time. And he's willing to do a one-day full workshop for the public, and you guys too, and I'm sure we can get that certified as training too through the Heritage Council. So Patrick will come in and take a window down to the sash, work with it, talk with you guys about how to winterize it, which is always a big deal, weatherizing, you know. And then maybe if we get time, the mechanical structures of that window, pulleys and things like that. I think it'd be worthwhile for everybody to do, and maybe take some of the scare factor out of the community about the windows, because they're always the big scary one.
Would he do this on site at one of our buildings?
Well, we've talked about that.
Yeah, that would be
And, you know,
exciting.
if it's possible to do that, yes, if we could find one that would work. You know, we've got to get into, it takes a long time to do a window, and he's got a day. So if he has to take one down that's already in a building, it may prove to be time prohibitive,
Okay.
whereas if he brings in his own sash and kind of walks you guys through that glazing and all that, take glazing out of historic windows, tedious, and it takes a long time. So it's a possibility. We can further develop that as we go along. What we're needing now is your all's blessing so that we can get this through City Commission and get the funding and the applications in. And then the third workshop, I'm kind of looking for guidance from you guys in the community. What is it that's the need out there? What public information would help the owners in the district, business owners? I mean, do we want to look at a tax credit workshop? What is the need? I don't know.
I spent a long time since I've dealt with the buildings on Main Street. Are there buildings in need of rehabilitation where the tax credits would be of value to them, or are they pretty stable and we wouldn't have many applicants?
I'm not sure. I mean, there's obviously buildings that could use it.
Right.
You know, nothing's perfect. I don't know what the interest would be with the
Right.
business owners on that.
Would it-
But that's just a
What
suggestion,
about a
certainly.
paint color? What about a paint color workshop?
It could be, you know, what, we can get folks to do that. That's the other
don't
big
know.
scary one is the paint colors,
colors.
you know.
Can we keep it open and find out from workshop one what kind of the folks are wanting
Yeah.
to see, and then go, oh,
That's a
cool.
great idea.
Well,
we got
we have to
five.
have something to fill out the application for
Right.
the grant. The grant's due February 16th, which is before you meet again. We have to have it to the city commission by February 12th. So I don't know if they'll let us, Julie might know better, but if they'll let us get away with just saying we want to do a workshop on X. We have to
feel
fill
like
out
you could-
budgets and more definitive.
I feel like you could give some samples of what we're thinking on this third one. We might do tax credits, we might do paint colors, or a project that's identified after workshop number one. They would probably fund that.
Right,
Yeah.
it's not the Heritage Council, I think Vicki would go along
Yeah, I
with it,
do.
because
Yeah.
I've not been here long enough to know, those two needs I can see
Actually, I
very
like that
clearly.
verbiage quite well.
Right, I
can
think
see them
she would fund that.
being
So, yeah.
flexible.
And I mean, we can always call it a public information workshop, just to give it a title, and we can pull something off for about $500 for that, too. So then you all
Great.
got the price breakdowns there, so I feel pretty confident that we can do that. And I think it would help, because that is one of the goals, to try to figure out what's going to serve the public the best with the board and what these guidelines are for. And I think right now there's a lot of standoff, ooh, we don't really understand it, and hopefully this will take some of that out of there. So that's my two suggestions. I'm certainly open to anything you guys would suggest, and hope to get suggestions from you. So that's pretty much my pitch for the grants.
And we hope to put on things that don't cost a lot of money either as the year goes by, more and more things for the public. One of our responsibilities is education as a board. So we'll be looking at all kinds of different things that we could do, and maybe even you, some of you all could be the be the person doing the workshop.
Right.
So stay tuned. But we do need some guidance from you as far on the record as to if this is okay.
Well, one other idea might be, just thinking, is how to make a National Register nomination, especially property owners that live out in the county. That's a very daunting task, to try to figure out how to
Absolutely.
get my house on the National
Yes,
Register.
it is, and there's a lot of questions there. That'd
Yeah,
be a
so
great.
that might be something to think about,
That would be a
too.
great, yeah, we
Yeah.
could do that.
Which
And
may
we've
not be
got
part
one
of
that's
this, but-
going through the process right now, so.
I know we're supposed to just do the district, but that certainly would be of interest to the community.
Actually, as a certified local government, we're required to do the whole county.
Oh, good.
For that specific thing,
Well, there
that
you
we
go.
have to approve and help with that process, so.
Okay.
And between now and the city commission, if that's what you all want to do, I could put it out on the Facebook page and say, hey, does this sound good? Would you guys be interested in National Register nomination workshop? That is a daunting task.
It is.
So, and it scares a lot of people, and there's a lot of misconceptions about it, so that's a great idea.
Do we need a motion on this?
Yes, please.
All right. Motion to proceed for staff to proceed with requests for grants.
As presented.
Have a motion, have a second. Have a second from Ms. Dixon. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Moving along, our goals, 2018.
You have those in your packet from what last year's goals were.
Yep.
And we need to talk about what your goals for this year is going to be.
I don't see our goals. Do you see them?
Yeah, some notes.
They're on email from Joni.
on
They're
an
the-
email?
It's in the back.
I remember seeing the email, but I don't see it in the packet here.
You need another copy?
Well, see, I got the
No, I
second
don't have
copy,
it.
so I have a copy.
Okay.
I'm sharing with Dan.
I do have that.
I scanned through it.
Okay, that's embarrassing. I do have that one.
You've got Korea on your mind.
I do. I'm like thinking about all the things I gotta do today. How did we do on these? Did you have a chance to look over them? Did we?
I looked at them because I'm in the process of preparing the final report or the annual report for certified local government. I think the biggest achievement you all did certainly is the city, is the district or the guidelines. That's a huge, huge deal. There's work to do certainly, but I think you should pat your back, and certainly the staff, for developing those guidelines, because that took an enormous amount of time and resource, I'm sure. So I would give you guys a B+. So, which is pretty,
That's good,
that's
yeah.
pretty respectable. I think probably as with the new guidelines and stuff, focusing really on trying to get what this is all about out to the public should be a major driver, and possibly developing some in-house resource that we could give to folks if they're looking for somebody to work on their windows or their floors. I'm thinking, if we can get that into some kind of printed form and keep it accessible to folks, that would be a very good, helpful thing. Because people don't get caught up in the ideology of this so much. They want something that's going to help them. They're going to want bricks and mortar help. They're going to want to know where to go get a carpenter. So I think that would be, that would be my suggestions for you guys as we move forward. Really concentrate on that. And certainly I'll be here to help you with that. So hopefully that'll be a little bit easier.
So would it be appropriate to say we like all these again for this year, and maybe take that last one on education and take out the part about the perception of DAHB and put in there just really hands-on relevant education?
Right.
And everything else seems to be ongoing.
Yeah, I mean, we're moving along on it. And I intend to get more active on the social media and stuff. I'm trying to wrap my head.
It was very helpful when we
Yeah.
were doing the guidelines. I thought the
Right.
social media was a great vehicle.
Coming from a state background, I'm always very leery.
I know.
About social media. But I think that we can manipulate that in a way that'll be helpful for everybody. And again, give them something that they can do and fix and that's practical. I hear that constantly with a lot of my jobs. It's like, well, that's great. The ideology of it's great, but how do I fix that?
Right.
Which I think is very beneficial.
And I think you're going to see even more changes for this year, and that having Joni focused on this sort of stuff and that she's going to be focused on that, that's already helped tremendously, and it's going to help even more. And so be prepared for this next year to be even more involved in doing these things than you have been in the past, because she's going to be pushing you
Yeah, I'm going to drag you
That's
along.
great.
to do those sort of things. But that's also your responsibility as board members as well, is to, and we'll resend that charge out to you for what certified local governments are accountable for. But education's a big component of that, and it will help you in these meetings as well. The more we can help the public understand the process and what needs to happen to keep and preserve our district.
Right, and there's always approachability. People, they get very bogged down in the minutia of this giant book. And I think a face of approachability will help us all. Just, hey, let me come talk to you. I'm not going to tell you you can't paint your house this color or this window has to be redone. So that'll help with public perception a great deal. So, and I'm all about that. I've always been a good politician for the battlefield, so I can use those skills here as well.
Good.
Great.
Okay.
So I guess,
All
do you
right.
need a motion to adopt these? Great.
I don't think so.
Okay, good.
I think it's, you'll have them in the record at the minutes, just like we did
Okay.
before, so I don't think that it needs to.
Great. Item number 6, calendar item. Discussion of public hearing dates for district expansion concerning the Wills Russell House.
We were wanting to get with you all or see how you wanted to handle us coming up with a date so that we could go ahead and start advertising and stuff, which for Julie, that needs to be at least 2 weeks out. But I don't know if you want to try to have that at our next regular meeting in addition to the meeting, or
Oh, yeah.
if you want to have a separate, like either have it after or before the meeting. If you want to stay after, sometimes the city commission does those kinds of things, or have it before the,
Yeah.
Maybe we could start at 9 and have the public meeting at 9 and then our meeting at 9.
after your meeting go into that.
Yeah, it's pretty much a no-brainer, this one is.
I doubt there's going to be.
Yeah, I don't think so. And it meets all the criteria that the city wants to have to include it in the district, so I don't see it.
So make that our next 9 o'clock though?
So
for
we'll
our
do
next
9
meeting?
o'clock at our next,
So that's February 21st?
whatever that day is, let's see.
Sure, certainly.
Yes, sir.
Comment on that district.
Please, Steve.
As far as the zoning ordinance goes, I just think it's interesting that we've been talking, when the district is amended, which, happens, the zoning ordinance is actually considers the historic district a base layer called an overlay district. So it's in the zoning ordinance. And so as this board makes recommendations in the future to change the district, grow it, whatever, one piece at a time or several, the way I guess the format's going to work, we've talked about is you guys would have a hearing, but then you'd be sending a recommendation to the planning commission. We'd be then actually having what's like a zoning hearing. But what's different about ours is we do have to advertise, and technically we have to put signs out. We have to do all the same things, just like if someone was zoning their property from, agriculture to commercial, which is good. In my prior job, the historic board would create the recommendation, create the product. They wouldn't have a formal hearing, but locally our ordinance requires that. But the planning commission has the big hearing where we actually put the ad in the paper, spend the money, put the signs out, and have a formal recommendation then we send to the city, and then ultimately the city votes and says this is the new overlay. So I guess we'll have 2 hearings in this case. If we go that route, you all will have a hearing and you'll send a recommendation to us. We'll have a hearing, we'll send a recommendation to the city, and ultimately the property's in or out that way. So into the future, we might be able to streamline that a little better. And it seems duplicative to have 2 hearings.
And we can talk to the city attorney about, what his thoughts on that, but when you strictly read our ordinance for the architecture, it says schedule a public hearing, advertise on the property 15 days before, so,
Yep.
but it is duplicate
And then we do
of
this, we're gonna
what
do the
you're
same
doing.
thing, and then
So
actually
I will
post it
talk to
on
him and
both
see if
sides.
there's any way that we could combine those, but
Do
the
a
way
joint.
it says it right now, I think we're kind of caught, but we
And
might
talk
be able to
Vicki.
change it.
Vicki Beerenberg might be the best resource to find out if there's a legal shortcut, because she works with these.
Yeah. Well,
all
we're
the
pretty
time.
straightforward on, I've done this a long time. The zoning layer is, there's no,
Right.
it's in the KRS what we have to do. What's interesting though, our extra step is we advertise in the paper, we have to post a zoning sign just like that. But we also have to notify every adjacent property owner, which is good anyhow.
We have to do that too.
And you have to do that too. So I think back in the day, maybe there's some thinking, well, we're actually having the zoning type review here, and that's why it was structured that way, but our ordinance says the same thing. So I just know from my experience, someone has to have that done that way. In this case, we'll do 2, and then eventually get to the city and it'll be in the district.
Do we have to hire a recorder, like a court recorder for a hearing?
Not, we don't do them for our.
We don't.
Okay, good.
No,
We don't.
no.
When we did the expansion, we had to have somebody come in.
I know in the past we did do it, but there's nothing in the ordinance that says you have to.
And we used to
So-
too, and we've
Yeah.
done away because
So
they're being
tedious.
recorded.
Yeah, 'cause we're recording
it,
We have
so-
a record now that we don't need a court recorder
Okay,
either.
fantastic.
Yeah, that'll be easy enough though, so whenever you are done with your part, it's simply just tell us, we'll put it on our docket, very similar to the way the design guidelines went. And then we'll have a hearing.
Well, we'll check with Stephen and check with Vicki and see if there's anything we can do differently. If anything changes, we'll let you know before the next meeting, but otherwise, we'll plan on, if this has to proceed the way we think it does, we'll plan on doing it before the next meeting.
Right, and if you guys look at the report I gave you this morning, it gives you the recommendations that it should be added, why it should be added, what the criteria it meets in there. So this would be the report that we could forward very easily on to the city and planning and zoning. It's prepared that way, but certainly if there's changes or additions y'all want to make to it, let me know, and we'll get it done. That's no problem.
One other small thing I think is interesting, we right now have a contract with Bluegrass Ad for our zoning map, and we're revising our zoning map, getting it online. So one extra step that's going to be neat is once this is done, the zoning layer will really become our responsibility to visually get it online. We'll be able to produce maps through our contract, and we're getting our zoning map going to another level here real soon. So as soon as any change to the district, you'll be able to click onto the zoning layer and clearly see the historic boundary. I know we have maps, but obviously if we make a change, we need new maps.
Yep.
We'll be able to do that through our Bluegrass Ad contract, get that map revised, get it onto our website, and then I guess print some for you guys too. But right now, I've had people call too, like, hey, how do I find the district, physically see the boundary? And we've got a map, but as far as getting online and seeing it, but well, the difference will be is when our map goes live, you'll be able to see parcels, aerials, boundary, click on and off different layers, however you want to look at the map. So that'll be better than, it'll be a kind of live map that you'll be able to.
That'd be helpful.
Yeah, and ours is already there, it's just the historic layer is kind of stationary.
Right.
And we don't have parcels on there, but the parcels are going on here any day. So you'll be able to see the lot lines and see the zoning layers.
That is the one thing I'll probably need for this report is the parcel.
Yep, I can get it for you.
Okay, I'll give you a copy of it.
Okay, sure.
So we've got some exciting things happening in the next year, because with these grants, we're going to have the building surveys and then mapping and stuff. So there's some exciting things for the next year.
And where are we on the Old Wilderness Road nomination?
Well, we are moving along.
Good.
I had talked with Marty about some of the things that we talked about.
We had to get an amended scope done for the,
Okay,
so the city
right,
commission
okay.
approved that at their last meeting. So now we're able to,
We're going to issue that RFP. I've talked to Janie Rice Brothers.
Oh, good,
And so I
good.
think it'll be
Great.
quite easily to do. The naming of it, we can work that out as it
With
goes.
James.
It can go in as with the grant, with the name it is now, but with some additions if that becomes necessary.
I think it's going to be,
And that's fine,
Yeah.
that's fine. I talked to him about.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I talked to Marty
Oh,
about
okay.
the issue with changing it from the grant into the actual application.
Okay.
And with some extra documentation, I don't think we're going to have a problem.
we just need to be sensitive and make sure Mr. Hunn knows.
Well, I mean, that's
Right.
kind of an issue. If you think
Yeah.
about it, when I talked to the Heritage Council, it's like, well, when you say wilderness, it gives a different connotation of what the end result of the district's actually going to be. So I think we work with Mr. Hunn and the folks that want the district and get that added to it.
Right.
And there's no problem with hyphenated names, so.
Yeah, he'll
so
be
we're good.
pleased. Yeah.
That's going to be kind of cool. I'm looking
I
forward to that.
think so too. Yeah.
All right.
just an FYI, Joni will be emailing you out once it's finished, the annual report. We're also going to present that to the city commission at their next meeting, so we'll start doing more of that too, to keep the city commission updated on what we're doing throughout the year as well, so.
I just want to say there's no question that we needed Joni, and despite any questions from the citizens, it's really nice to have you.
Amen.
Yes.
I'm enjoying it. It's stuff that I haven't done in a long time, and it making my brain work a little. That's a good thing.
Well, we
So-
appreciate all you're doing.
I got off the tractor too. That's good.
Thank you all. Since it's a special called meeting, that's all we can talk about.
I know. Well, next meeting's 21st, right?
Yes.
All right.
And thank you all for coming out today.
Motion
I'm
to-
sorry this is the only
motion to
time we
adjourn.
could get it.
And double your pay.
Yeah.
All right. Second? Have a second? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.